In this video, we look at the solutions for the 2018 question 4. In question 4.1, we were required, the user needed to select the month from a combo box, and then using a text file visitors.txt, you have to populate into ARR customers all the dates for that month that was selected. So for example, this is the text file. And in this text file, if the month March was selected, you had to find all instances of March, and you had to get the number of people that attended the restaurant or visited the restaurant in March and write these values 52, 51, 141 into the array. So that's what 4.1 required you to do. Write the numbers into this array ARR customers. So let's look at the solution. The first requirement was to get the month. This was the month that you needed to get from the text file. Thereafter, check to see if the text file exists, visitors.txt, file exists, and if it's not file exists, that means the file was not found, and come out of the procedure using the exit. For it to have come to this line, it means that the file does exist. Create the link between internal and external, and then open the text file for reading. So and then there's a variable called count. Keep in mind that this variable is a global variable, and this variable is counting the number of values that are read from the text file. So if the month is March, then it should count should end up having a value of 31, since there's 31 days in March. But if the month is February, then count will have a value of 28 because the text file has 28 days for February. So while not end of file, read from the text file into a variable called line. We then make use of pause, and we're checking if the month that we are looking for, if that month that we are looking for here, that we read, if that month, we're looking for the position of that month in the variable that we just read, line. So if month is contained in line, and if it finds it at a certain position that's greater than 0, then it would mean that it found the particular month. If it read one of these months from February, then if it was looking for March, March will not be found in any of these dates. So pause will return a value of 0. But the minute it comes to these lines here that I read, it reads the line, it then checks, is March, M-A-R, contained in this entire line that was read? And if it is greater than 0, in this instance, it'll be found at position 1, 2, 3. So if it's greater than 0, then the month has been found. So if the month was found, now find the value that separates the date and the number that visited the restaurant. So there's a hash that's separating it. Now get the position of that hash. Do a copy up to position +1. Position +1 will take you to the first digit in the number. Convert that, copy returns a string, convert that into an integer, and store that in the variable num. Count is counting each time it reads a value from the month, and using count and the array, the value goes into the array. And this loop just continues, reading the next line, and if it found it greater than 0, the position of that month is greater than 0, it separates, does the separation, finds the hash, and gets the number, and then count then increments again and it is then the number stored in the array. Notice that count only increments when that month was found in the string. And at the end of that loop, you would find that all the values for that month, the numbers have been entered in the array, ARR customers. And count tells you how many values were entered. And this variable count, you will see, is being used in 4.2. So if we look at 4.2, 4.2 use the combo box to select the day of the week as the first day of the month. So you need to generate some type of a calendar. And in generating this calendar, you need to enter the day that the calendar starts. In this instance, the calendar is starting on a Friday. And that's your day 1. And this is the value that's in your array that we just got from in 4.1. And this is day 2, which we are getting from the array in cell position 2. So the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. represents the position in the array. And the 248, 81 represents the contents at that position in the array. How do we go about solving that? The first thing to do in this instance is let's get the day from the combo box where we want to start. So in this instance, we want to start on a Friday. So if we're starting on a Friday, it means for the first line only for the first row, Friday will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're starting at, the start is at 6. Let's just say we're starting at 6, which is Friday. The 6 is Friday. So the idea is to determine what number that translates into. So if we had to start on the Monday, then that would be 2. So we're starting a variable called DOW for the day of the week. Sunday would be 1, and then Monday would be 2, Tuesday 3, Wednesday 4, Thursday 5, Friday 6, and Saturday is 7. So we get this value. We need to understand where the starting value is. So in this example, we are saying, let's say it starts on a Friday. So we're starting at 6. DOW is 6. That means we need 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need 5 tab spaces before the numbers can start. So that's the first thing we need to get sorted out now that we know which day it is. And I've translated that into a number. So we're starting at 6. So I'm starting a loop, and the loop runs from this DOW was 6. Remember that 6 minus 1 is 5. I've got this variable str, which is set to nothing. And I just keep adding tab spaces. I add 5 tab spaces so that I can get this. I'm trying to get the first line sorted out. So this piece of code will add the tab spaces for the rows that do not have values. So that is now sorted out. Let's now start adding all these values from our array. So there's a loop that we run from 1 to count. Remember, count was a global variable, and count counted the number of numbers there are in the array. So if we were looking at March, then that would have been 31. So this is going to run 31 times, starting at Friday, 1, 2, and ending up at 31. And what we are going to do is build up the value that they want. So they want us to get the number, which is, we said, was the position of the array, and I will give us the position of the array. So I'm just accumulating. I get the number I, which is the position of the array, starting 1. I then need a bracket. There's my opening bracket and my closing bracket as indicated in the question, and then get the value at that position 1. Get that value from the array and convert that into a string. And thereafter, add your tab space. So this is accumulated to the spaces or the tabs that we had added in the previous part. So that worked nicely and will continue, but we need to know when we've reached the end and we need to take the cursor to the next line. To do that, we need multiples of 7. We have to get multiples of 7. And to get multiples of 7, mod 7 equals 0. Mod 7 equals 0. So the question is, what value mod 7 equals 0? Here we've got DOW, that was 6, remember? That was 6 starting on the Friday. So 6 minus 1 is 5, but I starts at 1. So I plus the 1 gives you 6. So here, this value actually represents the starting value of where we want to start. So we're tracking that position, and every time we find a multiple of 7, the cursor is then going to accumulate and go to the next line. So it is the day of the week that we've obtained from here. That's the starting value of, in the example I took, was 6. And we add I to it and subtract 1 because I starts off at 1. So we're subtracting that 1 as the starting point. And after that loop finishes, we just display str, which will then display the calendar the way we want it. So this is how we needed to go about solving question 4.2. It was a bit tricky, but if you applied your mind and attempted to solve it, you would have eventually been able to solve it. Study the solution, try to understand what it is doing, and then possibly try the question out again on your own. I hope these solutions help you.